This is where the magic happens. Welcome to my 2024 home office / YouTube studio video editing, photo editing space tour. Let's get into it. So this has been my office space for over a year now, actually, and I've been trying to build it into something that works best for me and allows me to be creative while also being functional and using up the limited space to store all of my stuff, and also being a little space for me to have fun. I've recently made some changes to the space that I think is going to increase the functionality, and it felt like it was time for me to show off the space a little bit because I've been recording videos in here for a year and I've never really truly shown off the whole space. So let's start at the door and work our way in. Here on the wall next to the door, I have these 3 huge prints hanging up. These are some of my favorite photos that I've taken. The one right behind me here, this green one, is from Ireland. The middle one is from Utah. And the one over there is from BC. Then to my right, we've got a display / storage shelf where the top half is just display. I've got a couple photos, this really cool light up Lego Porsche. I've got a little bit of empty temporary working space. And then down here, I've got all of this gear. Now, this is storage shelf number 1, and it's where my main most used gear goes. I also have a closet in here where I have a bunch of other stuff, but we'll get to that. This is where I keep a lot of the stuff that I'm using on a daily or weekly basis. I've got these little storage containers here. These are actually inserts for the Nomadic Peter McKinnon bag. I am not really a big bag insert guy, so instead I decided to use them as little storage containers on the shelf. I've got audio equipment, spare parts for my drone, extra little tripods, just all the little stuff that looks really messy when it's scattered about. And I've got some flashes, some NPF batteries, these little mini lights. I've got this awesome small rig cage that they just sent me. I'm very excited to use this, although I don't have any attachments for it yet. But this is really cool. Then we've got my gimbal, my Air 3 drone, a couple random little bags, some lights, some more lights, and some more lights. Now moving back over to this side of the room, underneath the paintings here, this is kind of an empty space right now, but what I have here is 2 things. I've got my temporary charging station, and I say temporary because it's kind of just a power bar sitting on the floor, and I want to build something a little more permanent, a little more functional, but I just haven't got around to it yet. And then next to all that stuff is my guitar amps. This is a part of my space that's a little bit more about having fun, because I do also, this is like my man cave, my like space to, I play video games in here and I play guitar in here, and it's also just a fun space for me to hang out. So my guitar stuff is very important for that. I started taking guitar lessons about 8 months ago. It's been going well, I think. Here I have 2 amps. This is a modeling amp. This is just electronic, it's newer. This is a real vintage amp from the 1960s. My dad's had this with him since he was a teenager. It was already old when he got it, and I got it fixed up, and now I use it as my main practice amp. It sounds really cool. It's got a nice vintage sound to it. I'll let you hear what that sounds like. And then this little contraption next to me is my pedal board with guitar. If you don't know, you can add a lot of effects to the guitar sound by adding guitar pedals, and each pedal does a different thing. And then next to all that is this power bar that I use as a charging station. It's just an empty power bar where I can plug in my camera battery charger, my AA battery charger, whatever USB-C type things I need to charge. It all usually just kind of sits here on the floor, which is not the solution that I want. I have this vision for building out one of those big pegboards and attaching all of the charging devices to it and hanging it on a wall and just being able to plug things in. It's a vision. It'll happen eventually, but for now, the floor works fine. Now over on the other side of the room here, I have probably the nicest piece of furniture I've ever bought, because every other piece of furniture in here is IKEA particle board wood. It's cheap, you know, it gets the job done. It looks fine. It's all the same color, so it matches, you know, I think it looks okay. But I had an issue with my desk, which is particle board, where I dropped one of those mini, you know, small lights on the desk from like 2 feet up, and it put a hole in the desk because it's, you know, it's not the strongest material. And it got me thinking, I really wish I had a real solid wood desk. So I got one. That's what this is. This is a tabletop. It's reclaimed elm wood. I think it looks really nice, and I just bought some legs from Home Depot and put them on. I'm planning on using this as kind of like a little workstation, a place for me to pack my camera bag, for me to work on whatever I need to, get some nice product shots. So you might be seeing a lot more of this table in my thumbnails if I do some more product reviews. On the table, I've got the Nomadic bag here. I've been really loving this bag. I just made a video talking about camera bags and how much you should spend on one and what you should consider in a camera bag. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. I do recommend this bag if you have the budget for it. It is a little on the pricey side. And then behind it, I have a video tripod from Smart that they just sent me. I'm gonna be maybe making a video about that soon because I kind of need a new video tripod. So that'll be interesting to check out. Then right next to it, my guitar collection. I've only got 3 right now, but as you can see, I've got room for 2 more. So it's only gonna grow from here. I've got the acoustic, then I've got this Epiphone Les Paul. I would love a real Les Paul, but you know, one step at a time. And then I've got my American-made Fender Strat from the year 2000. I bought that Strat on Facebook Marketplace. It was actually built in the year 2000, which is cool because so was I. But yeah, guitar playing is one of the great things, and I love having it right next to my desk because whenever I'm bored or I'm exporting or I just need a little bit of break from work, I can just, the guitar's right there. I can just pull it out and practice. That's actually helped me get a lot of practice time in. And if you are learning an instrument, I would recommend keep it close to you, like literally just in your visual eye line when you're working, if you can, because when you have the chance, it'll make it so much more likely that you'll practice it. Then for the sort of main attraction, I've got my editing desk, my setup here. So right here, I've got my gaming / editing PC. I built it because I do still enjoy gaming. It's a pastime of mine, but I also need something that can edit all my footage. So in it, I've got a Ryzen 3700X, a RTX 2070 Super, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and a bunch of storage. It's getting a little outdated now for editing anyways. For gaming, it's still perfectly fine, but I'm definitely noticing a little bit, it's falling behind a little bit when it comes to editing. So I might be upgrading that later this year, maybe a better graphics card, but we'll see. Then of course, I've got my 2 color calibrated Asus ProArt monitors. I did a whole video on those. I've been loving working with those monitors. The color accuracy has been a big help. Having a calibrated monitor, honestly, it's not something you think about until you start using one, but it is really nice. And then I've also got, you know, a little fan right on the windowsill there. This is actually a great tip if you have an editing PC like this or you have a gaming PC. If you've edited or gamed for long periods of time, you know the room can get super warm because PCs are basically little space heaters. When it's cooler outside, which it's not right now, it's pretty hot, but when it's cooler outside than it is in the house, I'll open up the window and I have the fan directly behind the exhaust port on the computer. So the hot air blows out of the computer and the fan sucks it up and blows it directly out the window, which helps keep the room a lot cooler. But that reminds me about today's sponsor, Motion Array. If you haven't heard me say it before, Motion Array is the best place to get motion graphics, sound effects, stock footage, you name it, they've got it. You pay a monthly subscription and you have unlimited access to their library, which is massive. I use it all the time for just downloading little graphics to put on screen and little transitions for my client projects. It's saved me quite a few times, especially even if there's just like a specific drone shot that I need for something, and I happen to not be able to get that, or it would be a huge hassle to go out of my way and cost a lot of money to go get that shot. Well, I just check Motion Array and see if they have it, and chances are they do. Seriously, if you're a video shooter at all, if you do any kind of client projects or social media stuff like these YouTube videos, Motion Array is an awesome tool to have in your kit. So check it out. If you use my link, you get $50 off, which is a steal. And while you have the subscription, you can download as much stuff as you want. But anyway, let's wrap up the studio tour because I still have some more cool stuff to show you. The last space I haven't showed you yet is the closet. Now in here, I have all the gear that I don't use quite as frequently and or would be too messy to store out in the open. We've got the big bulky things like these are my studio strobe lights. There's my guitar case. I've got a white backdrop and some other little bounces and stuff. Here's my extra light stands and tripods, some extra boxes, my scanner, I use that for scanning film, a massive roll of Ethernet cable that I didn't need, and then some other random stuff. And then on this shelf here, I have this little drawer to organize some things a little bit better. And then I have all of these buckets for my different types of cables. I've tried to sort them. It's a little bit tricky, but you know, I've got my USB cables, my audio visual cables, miscellaneous. And then I've got a little box for some legacy tech, some old flip phones and random stuff that I don't use anymore, but just can't bring myself to get rid of. And then of course, just some other little boxes down here. But that about wraps up my studio tour. It's not a huge space, but I've tried to use it in the best way possible to fit as much stuff in here as I can. I still want to hang a bunch of prints on that wall. I'm thinking maybe this wall is also where the charging station could go, but that's a project for another day. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more cool stuff like this. I've got lots of videos on the way. And check out Motion Array if you're interested. My link is down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.